Welcome to another week of Collage. This time I have all vintage magazines, although these two Vogue magazines are from 2016. So here we have Margot Robbie and Amy Schumer. I believe my focal points are going to come from either one of these magazines. We also have Sunset, a very old George magazine, and Santa Barbara, some type of advertisement for the region. So I'm going to go through, hunt up my focal points and some ephemera on the side, and we will see what this week produces for us. That was a pretty good haul. What I like to do is mix and match my ephemera when I begin a project. Now, I've seen other collage artists that take a single magazine and they get all their ephemera for the one collage from that magazine, and that's a really fun challenge. Normally, though, my preference is to mix and match it because I like that juxtaposition between something vintage and something contemporary, which I've shared a multitude of times and will continue to do so. So I'm going to just sort everything that I found. Not necessarily, again, going to use all of it. I certainly don't have to. But I'm going to separate my secondary ephemera that I think I may want to use. And again, choosing as much as I possibly can because that makes the experience of collage way more fun. So I'm just sorting my secondary colorful pieces and objects off to the side here. This is a possible focal point. I'm just looking at her beautiful gown and thinking what I can do with that. This would be a smaller piece, I think, if I did that. So I'm going to set that off to the side as a possible focal point. This is a wonderful design element that I was immediately drawn to. She is definitely a focal point. I'm thinking about the design, a design element with her hair. I'm going to think about that. That's also like another smaller, I think it would be another smaller collage. So maybe there's more than one collage in this harvest of ephemera. Again, design elements and object elements that can have a lot to say. I'm not trying to say anything. I usually go into my collages without anything really in mind. Is this a design element or is this a possible focal point? Off to the side. Him also, just his posture here tells me, is reading to me something. I was also looking at her, the model's very shapely, and I think there's opportunity to play with that. Another design element. I like grabbing onto hands and flowers. She is also a focal point for me. And then I found these circle imageries. That could go really well as a different type of backdrop. And as you know, I love my flowers and I love circles and I love clocks. I am always drawn to those things in my work. The next step is to choose focal point. Because once I have a focal point, I can go on from there. I really want to play with these. These can be somewhat interesting on their own. See, I have a lot of, and then there was, sorry, I didn't even go through these vintage wares. So I have this lobster. I just thought that looked cool. I love this hand. This isn't too, well, It is vintage. It's well over 20 years old. It's 25 years old. It was from the George magazine, but I loved the design on the purse. And some objects we can play with and more design. So I'm going to keep that off to the side. I'm thinking, I'm going in this direction right now. Okay. Starting to feel it. This is feeling fun. A lot of contemporary, but this is vintage. This hand is vintage. But I have a lot of contemporary stuff going on too. And I really liked this. The apples might be interesting as well. Let me see. So this is how it begins. And I start looking through what I collected, what intrigued me, what made me choose where I wanted to go today. So this may just be, I think there may be definitely more than one collage in this grouping. If anything, I can save things for later, come back to it. So I see a red and blue theme going on here. And these apples. Okay, now it's time to cut. And I like to cut in time lapse and think in time lapse. So let's do it. Got a little crazy with my cutting and I broke my template. I wasn't even thinking about it. I don't want to break my template just yet. So all I really need to do is repair it. Nothing special, nothing too fancy. I'm just going to use some actually I have packing tape that is sitting next to me. It's taped onto my studio desk and I'm just going to repair it, just to keep it intact, because that's how I do my template collages. So I'm going to finish up this going along the neckline and then the ear. I'm also contemplating whether or not I am going to do the same thing with the face. I might, because it's a small collage. I can maybe do a little bit more with it. I think it's going to be a small collage. This one will be a small collage. Go ahead. Oh, I didn't even do this part either. So I'm going to go back to cutting in time lapse and finish this hairdo. I needed to go get some drafting tape to keep things in place. I'm going to go with this bluish purple design purse from the George magazine. And I'm just lifting up some of that adhesive. But I also found this. Now I'm going to date myself here, and I don't mind doing so. This was a Creative Memories hole punch for circles. The whole reason, and I believe I may have shared this in another video, that I am a collage artist is because of scrapbooking. I was hugely into scrapbooking in the 90s, loved it. I have several photo albums where I utilized creative memory stickers and templates, and I loved it. I had the best time with creative memories. So I still have this whole punch, and it works. It still works. Perfect little circles, although I did see something on another YouTube channel, another collage artist, Flanzella. I'm going to post her channel link in my description because she has this wonderful circle tool that I have got to get my hands on. And she created a clock collage, and my mind was blown. I may be doing that in my future, but she was the first. So link to her channel and link to her video in this description. Please check it out. So I used these creative memory tools. I held on to some, most of them got tossed, and I'm collecting my own new tools now, but this hole punch, and I also have a square hole punch. I haven't really used them yet in anything. So since I love my circles so much, I might be doing this today, and I might be buying that circle cutter that was on, oh my gosh, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing the name right now. Flanzella is the channel, the collage channel, but again, I'll post everything in for you to seek it out later. So I'm going to go ahead and, oh, I need to cut this down a little bit. This is a little too big, but I want to keep it in place. That's exactly the portions of the image that I want for this piece. Give it a trim, and I can toss this. There really isn't anything else that I want from that. Okay. So now I want to go ahead and tape it down. I want to do a little more trimming before I do any taping. Trim. And not cutting into my image. Got enough of that today. Alrighty. So this was a lot of fun. I was playing with different ideas to fill in the space, but this is going to win out. We got that down, and now I want to trim it up more. Not too much. I have a bad habit when I trim this way. I cut too much. I even cut myself. Ooh, I'm good. I cut too much, and then it takes away from the image itself, so I want to be careful with that. So I'm going to go get some more tape, and we'll go back to time lapse. Also, really quickly before we continue, the channel's name is Flanzella. Flanzella, not Franzella, Flanzella. Flan like the yummy dessert, Flanzella. So check it out. It always amazes me that my collage work always takes a direction that I didn't really count on. So we had this mascara ad, and interestingly enough, I think it matches pretty well with this face, and I'd like to put it here and maybe continue it through the body. So I like the way that looks. I need a little bit more tape. I think I'll borrow some from here. I think I can lift this anyway now, very carefully. I did remove the adhesive, but nonetheless, I want to be careful. And I like how this mascara wand brush is purple and it matches with the design on the hair. So it looks like she has extra bangs. I'm going to put that there, secure it so I can tape it down. I can trim it a little bit. I'm just trimming it a little bit on the back, only because when I'm cutting through for the final piece, it's just less to cut through, because this technique, although I like it, it creates a lot of layers, especially with the tape that sits on the back as well. So it's not only the image itself I'm cutting through and the layers of ephemera that are creating the new collage, it's also that packing tape, and that can get tough. It just is something to think about. I want to keep her ear. I like keeping other elements of the body, but what I am going to do, and I think I already cut under the ear. I cut under the ear. You know, I kind of like how the hair looks here. I might continue that. I'm just gonna take some artistic liberty. Yeah, that looks, I like the way that looks. So what I want to do, I'm gonna hang on to the face template so we can put the features back on. I want to cut here because I want to create another template for the neck. Follow the natural line. Not sure what I'm going to do about the dress, if I'm going to give her a new dress or keep the white dress. It might be good to keep the dress and fill in the rest with something else. So just following the natural line. I don't know, maybe, I'm not sure if I'll keep the dress or not. And this is the space now we want to have open to play with. Okay, let's go back to time lapse. I decided to take the ear out mainly because I don't think it was adding anything to the image. And I'm going to, I think I want to put this watch in place of the ear. So it kind of acts like an ear ring maybe. I'll see if it looks good. I'll go ahead and cut it out. Again, no, I don't have to use it if I don't want to. I can always, play around with it. But we're halfway through. And, well, it's really big. It's actually too big. I took a magazine page that has all these little jewels on it. So this is all contemporary right now. It's like major contemporary. So maybe I can use one of these. I wasn't planning on using any of these jewels in this collage because I want to use it for another project I'm working on, my Ganesh project. But I can't resist. I'm gonna just check out and see, maybe this will work. I'll just do a quick little cut and determine that. Let's see. Yeah, that kind of works. And actually the background even works. Kind of works. I'm going to continue with it. But yeah, I didn't want that. The ear just got kind of messy. I should have taken more care in cutting it. I usually do. Yeah, that looks kind of good. That looks good. I like that. So I'm going to commence. Can put the features back on with some glue. And the features are very tiny, which I don't like. It just messes, it kind of messes me up because if it's a tiny piece, it's hard to manipulate it. I'm gonna go ahead and just dab the area I want. I'm actually using, as you can see, I am using the end of my paintbrush. Why? Because I feel like I can control how much glue I'm using. And it also keeps the brush clean. Same with the nose. Very tiny pieces that I was cutting out. And that's good because we want contrast, and size is just as much a part of contrast as is color. Okay, using this kind of like a puzzle piece, putting her back together. I wasn't going to use the eyebrows, because what I wanted to do with that was utilize the hair design for the eyebrows. This will go here. Yeah, almost perfect. Well, nothing's perfect, but this is making me happy. It's getting as close to perfect as we might get. Let's see. Yeah, this little side-eye business is really rough. Not super pleased. It's not real clean. So I'm just going to trim it up a little bit. Sorry for my muffled talking because I am holding the paintbrush in my teeth. I'm going to need it again in just a second. Alright, place there. See if that looks good. And if it doesn't, I'll think of something else. I just don't like it when it looks messy. Messy, I just can't. Okay, I'm going to lift this up. Try to make sure my eyes are in place. Looks like they're going to stay. I'm worried about that little eye, though. Okay, I like that. That looks really cool. She may need eyebrows, though. So we can get those from here. We should have enough left over, but she definitely needs eyebrows. Maybe just a bit more glue. No, it's okay. All right. I actually have plans this afternoon, so I have to stop, but I will be back in just a second. Well, for you guys, it'll be just a second. For me, a couple hours, but I'll be back. It's been about 24 hours since I have spent any time with this collage, and other ideas are coming to mind as well as some tweaking. So I went ahead and this jewel actually fits perfectly. This little gem that I cut out fits perfectly right about here. And not only that, it matches. So I'm pleased with the purple matching with the hair. So I just need to glue that down. I'm also thinking about cutting away the rest of her dress and exposing that blue lining and background. So I'm going to get back to that, glue her earring down, and think about her eyebrows as well. I think we have a finished piece. As you can see in the time lapse, I went ahead and cut out this hand, and I will use it for another collage. And I cut out a bunch of little circles. What's unique about this, I want to point out, there's no vintage material. I had chosen vintage magazine ephemera, but it didn't make it into this piece. And I think this is a case of I got everything from one magazine, and that's not a bad thing. It's just how it happened, and I went with it. The more ephemera you have, the more options you have, and the more fun collage becomes. So I'm going to call it done. I'm pleased with it. It's fun. I like it. I will maybe play with a background, although I usually like to go with a background on Photoshop that is very dark. You know, just maybe a dark gray, or I'm not sure, because it'll be in a square format because she's got this wonderful red circle in the back, and we can play with that a little bit. So that's it. That's gonna be the end of this week's collage. I'm not sure what I'm going to call her yet. Well, you guys all know because the video is posted, but I at this point I don't know. So I'm excited. And I'm excited to see you all again, and I hope to see you again for the next video. Thanks for watching.